My name is Danielle Sutton, and I am running for the two-year seat on the Richmond School Board. I live in Casco with my husband and three kiddos. We have Rylan, who's 12, and Jordan, who's 10, and then Jackson, who's 3. And we have been living there for about 4.5 years. I have been teaching since 2006, so this is year 15 for me, at the high school level, Algebra 2. I want to get more involved locally and in my children's own education. Rylan and Jordan are from a previous marriage, so they go to Anchor Bay schools. But Jackson, now that he's 3.5, will begin attending Richmond, so I just want to get a little bit more involved in his schooling. I value education, obviously, as I'm a teacher, and I just try to get as much into a position as I can. And I just want to be a voice for the students and for the teachers and just try to support them in the best way we can. I also feel like what I want for our kids or the Richmond kids is to be supported by an incredible support system, whether it's their teachers, their parents, the school board, just so that they can be prepared for their future. If I go all the way back to high school, in high school I was always involved in something. My mom always teased that I was going to be a professional student because that's just me. I just love being in school and doing school-related things. So I was in NHS and Key Club and student council and all those type of things. So then as I became older and started working, I worked at Panera Bread. I went from associate to a trainer, and then I've been working for the last 20 years for Macomb Township for their elections department. And I went from working the elections to supervising a specific location to now I'm supervising 7 precincts within 4 different locations. So I'm an election supervisor there. And then I worked at Cedar Point for a couple of summers, and there I started as a ride operator and I moved up to a ride supervisor. It's kind of equivalent of like a store manager type thing, creating schedules and all that type of thing. So throughout the years, just doing all that stuff, I've kind of always started off basic. In this aspect, it would be as a teacher, and tried to work my way up and become involved and committed to whatever it was that I was trying to work towards. And also, I have organized a lot of events. I've organized a couple of 5Ks, and then also last year I did a fundraiser for my brother-in-law who got in a car accident, and we were able to raise over $10,000. So very organized, very detail-oriented and that type of thing, trying to get all the information to be able to put it all together to make a decision. And then math background, obviously. I've been teaching Algebra 2 for 15 years. So numbers is what I'm all about, and being financially responsible. The last thing I just wanted to bring to light was that a couple of teachers had approached me discussing why I work for the charter school that I work for, and they just wanted to know more information about me so that they could make an educated vote come November. So I was kind of confused by their question, but I just explained to them that, you know, it was the best decision for me and my family. 3.5 years ago, I was laid off, and my son was born at 30 weeks, so 10 weeks early, and he had a lot of complications from organ failure to chronic lung disease to a bunch of other things. And so we spent 56 days in the NICU, and it was just overwhelming the number of specialists we had. We had about 14 specialists. And so I took a job at Anchor Bay High School, and it was hourly, so that was really nice. I had the flexibility of coming and going, and they were super accommodating with the flexibility, but I felt like I was just completely doing a disservice to my own students in my classroom. I was helping my family, and Anchor Bay was allowing me to, but then at the same time, these kids are getting a sub every other day, and with math, that's not kind of the best way to go. And so, especially since I was dealing with at-risk students at Anchor Bay. And so at that point, I began looking for something that was more compatible with accommodating Jackson, but then at the same time accommodating our need for financial stability at home. And so I found MGLVA, which is a virtual school through K-12, which is a charter school, but it's what works for me and for my family. Because I'm able to teach, but then at the same time I can work the rest of my school day and work responsibilities around Jackson's appointments, and kind of have the best of both worlds. So then the teachers looked at me and their follow-up was like, well, you're not for privatization? And I was like, privatizing what? But that's just not my mindset. My mindset is to kind of, it literally never crossed my mind. Like, this is about my family and what works best for me and what's convenient for me at the time. And so it's just, I was flabbergasted that that's what they came up with. But in the future, if an opportunity arose, I totally would, go back and work for any school, that was appropriate for how I felt or what was going on at the time. So, but all in all, I just feel like I don't want to leave people hanging, so I don't want to do that disservice to my students. I don't want to do this disservice to the community and their parents and everybody else who I'm working for. And I know former students would say, or former students in general, would say I'm super supportive. I will bend over backwards for you as long as you're putting out the effort to reach out there and find out what's going on. I still do take former students out to lunch just to catch up with them. I work with a lot of at-risk students. So I just want to make sure that they're staying on the right track and they are supported because their home life is not always the best. And so I just want to keep them moving forward. I've given them baby clothes because they have their own kids and they're still just not where they should be. And then one other thing that I like to do for my students is on their birthday, I like to bring in treats or whatever they want. If it's a cake with no red sprinkles, then I'll make a cake with no red sprinkles. So just all about supporting the students and making sure that they are well educated but ready for the real world. So.